Before this video starts, I asked one thing only. Be respectful, keep an open mind. Understand that we're all human. Small mistakes, big mistakes, we all make mistakes. When you make those big mistakes, you're going to pay for those mistakes. That's what today's story is. This is Woody and Woody's road to redemption. A man that messed his life up, messed up bad. He's now home and looking to make amends. Be respectful, not just for the channel, but for him and the family. You already know what it is. Jay Williams, let's live life, and we're back. So today we have an interview. Today we have a man that was once a cellmate of mine. We spent several years in prison together. It was a good cellmate. It was a good friend. I remember when I left, I told him I would be in touch. I said, I won't forget you. And his response was what a lot of guys said, man, just go on somewhere, just go. Didn't really, I think, believe that we'd be back in touch. And that's just how it goes when you make friends with somebody. You expect them to, but most times they don't. But anyway, today we have Woody Wood on with us. And they call him Woody because, well, when I met him, he looked like Woody Harrelson. He
I know you do, baby.
looked like the guy from National Born Killers. I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself to the world. You are?
I'm Woody Wood, man. How y'all doing?
Let me give you the backstory. When I met Woody, I was at Greensville Correctional Center. I'd been there for many, many years. And Woody had interstate compacted to Virginia from Florida. He was a Florida inmate who had been swapped out for a Virginia inmate, meaning they took a inmate from Virginia that resides in Florida that got in trouble and sent him back to Florida. Woody's people being here in Virginia, they shipped him here to Virginia to finish up his time. So he came into Greensville. That would be when we met. That's when we became friends for many years and are to this day. As you see, we're at my house, not a place where many people come to. So what we're going to do, Woody, is we're going to get into the beginning. Think back to being little Woody, man. What was life like? Did you have both your parents?
Well, I mean, I was raised by my mother, but I had a step pops who he was a good man. He was a good man, but at the end of the day, my mom, she pretty much raised me. I come from a household, we don't have much. Mom worked 3 jobs. She took care of us, and life was good at times, but we struggled.
Right.
I was from an area in Hampton that was just riddled with poverty. Somehow we survived.
Right.
Life was good.
Were you a good kid? Would you say you were a good kid or a bad kid?
I mean, I was a good kid up until about 12. 12. What? I hit the streets running. I was a latchkey kid.
A what?
A latchkey kid.
What's a latchkey kid?
A latchkey kid is that your mom gives you a key and, you let yourself in and out. And she's at work.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you fend for yourself when you get home. From school, you fend for yourself.
Right.
Life was like, on the streets, like I come home, I make something to eat, and I just hit the streets running.
Straight out the door.
Straight out the door.
Did you start getting in trouble at that time at 12?
Yeah, I was, like doing odds and ends and breaking into houses and, doing things that I wasn't supposed to, throwing things off the interstate at cars and
just being a little juvenile delinquent.
Yes. Yeah. And, moms never knew about it. The first time I got in trouble was, I'll never forget it. Mark, he was with us, and there was this McDonald's that had just been built right there on Mallory Street, and behind it was Cameron Projects, and we had went back there, and there was a dead body in the water. So like we were trying to like kick it to see if he was alive, being like little kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the police came, and I remember I went home and got my dad's Polaroid camera. So we went around the Cameron Projects, and I took pictures of it.
Oh,
so
man.
The police seen it, and like they ran up on us and stuff. And that was my first interlude to
interaction.
Interaction with being like I got put on probation and the whole 9 yards. That was my first record right there. I think I was like 12.
Damn. So when would be the first time you got locked up? How old were you when you got locked up for the first time?
14, man. We had like went to this new construction area, and I bashed in all the walls and like with a bunch of friends and like
Vandalism.
Just
tore some stuff
new
up.
construction.
Y'all just went in and just smashed these people's roof all up.
Everything. Yeah.
Just bad little kids,
I
man.
got locked up for that. I spent about a month in juvenile detention out in Newport News, and it wasn't right.
You just kept going from there.
Yeah, pretty much, man. And just met up with the wrong crowd, and got my life together for a little while, and just tried to do the right thing. But it's just like trouble always found me because I was like the limelight of the area, and people knew me, and being around people, and just didn't care.
How did you end up in Florida?
I was on probation here in Virginia, and I had violated my probation. There's a place called the Radisson. Well, it was the Radisson. I don't know what it's called, but we stole a boat, and I got an unauthorized use of a boat, and got locked up. And I stayed the weekend in jail, and an ex-girlfriend had come and bonded me out, her mom and them. And I was like, I'm not reporting to my PO. And I had a buddy down there in Florida, in Miami.
So you took off. So they were looking for you because of the boat?
Yeah, they were looking for me.
And you were on probation.
Yeah.
So you can't go to the PO because they're looking for you.
They're going to violate
They're
me
going to violate you and
immediately.
lock you up.
Yes.
So you're bucking on probation, and now you're going on the run.
Yeah. So I dipped to Miami, man. I'll never forget it. I got off the bus, and I called my homie. He called me a cab. He was at work, and I got there, and he was like, man, you're here. I'm on Ocean Drive down in Miami. He worked at 7th and the Ocean at a place called the Avalon. He was like, man, do what you want to do, man. Here's $500, man. Just go do what you want to do. I went down to a place called Wet Willie's and got a margarita, and I went out on the palm trees and sat on the beach and drank this, and I was like, okay, I'm here. What am I going to do? From there, it was just I was low key. I stayed in the house all day, didn't come out until night. Avoided everything that I could, just
because of the police situation.
Yeah,
trying to stay off the radar.
There was lots of police out there at any given time, so I just steered clear away from everything. Would come out at night and just rip and run the streets at night and sleep all day.
So you're on the run. So you're clearly not working a job. You can't work a job.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing for money?
Well, I'd lived in Wynwood, down there in Miami, right across the street from Roberto Clemente Park. And I met this Spanish dude, and he kind of put me on the dope deal, and started selling dime bags of weed, and just peddling, just making a little bit of bread just to keep myself afloat. And it escalated from there. I mean, it was good. It was fun. It was exciting. Would ride the tri-rail up to Lauderdale. We would boost. We would just do everything we can and come back at the end of the day and sell everything to the strip clubs. I mean, we would steal everything from women's underwear to perfume to, just make a living. And
anything that had a dollar value.
Anything. And it was just, things just went so fast down there. And at the end of the day, you'd have fucking $800 in your pocket, and it
committed a dozen different crimes.
Yes. It was a fast life, but it was my life then, because I didn't want to go back to Virginia, because I know if I go back to Virginia, I was going to get locked up. But being down in Miami, it was a different lifestyle. It was a different venture. It was a whole different atmosphere. It was like being in another country, because there was such an eclectic variety of people down there. You had the Haitians, you had the different type of Spanish, you had the regular white people. It was totally different. You can go in different areas and it would be a different time zone.
It's a different world from Hampton, Virginia.
Way different.
Had you really ever been outside of Hampton?
I mean, not really, no.
So Miami was definitely just sensory overload.
It was
a lot
fun.
going on.
It was a lot going on.
You're on the run, so you have no real responsibility. You're just living life on the edge, day to day. Do what you got to do, hustle to get by.
Yeah.
What led up to you finally getting locked up?
I had met this guy, and his girlfriend, and at that time I had already surpassed peddling marijuana. I had dealt and dabbled in dope game, heroin, and he snorted coke. He did his own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, I had my connects. I was doing what I was doing. I got good with him and I got comfortable with him. So it was like, he would buy dope for me. We would get high. I would get high with him. He would buy it. I would get high. No shame in what I
Right.
do.
It is what it is.
And he racked up a bill, and at the end of the day, like, I kept letting it go on and on and on and on, and he would avoid me. He owned his own company, so his money was good.
So he had money, he just didn't want to pay you. He was trying to duck paying you.
Exactly.
It's not like he just didn't have it. He had it, just didn't want to pay the debt.
Exactly. So he thought the things that we did together accounted for what took place.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't never catch him. But one day I caught him. I was on the strip of Miami. I caught him. And at that day, I was like, look, man, you got to pay. Like, I need that.
I need that money. I got to live.
I need it because, like, I'm down and out. Like, I'm on one of them days where, like, I have nothing. And
so how much money are we talking?
Like 6 bands. Like, I needed that because I have nothing. Like, at that point in time, like, the guy that I was living with, him and his wife, like, they were going through some turmoil. So, like, it was just bad. I had gone to the point where, I had took from him.
Mm-hmm.
I took his money out of his pocket while he was asleep.
Right.
And I, like, to this day, I feel so bad for that.
Right.
Like, and I'm back in contact with him, and like, I've been paying him back.
Right.
Like, those are the things that, like, I deal with, like, internally.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, we went back to his place, man, and we conversed, whatever the case may be. And like, I remember I was drinking. I just got so, like, caught up in the moment, and like, my brain just started like thinking, like, what am I gonna do? Like, I just can't let this dude think like I'm some
He's still not
sucker.
paying you.
No, it's like
you're at his place.
Yeah.
You know he's got the money, and he's still not giving you your money.
Just give me something. Like, dude, I'm like down. I don't even think I got $20 in my pocket, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I already got a habit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm grinding every day. So, like, my first thing that I do in the morning is just try to get myself.
Were you sick at this point when you were there with him?
I mean, no, I wasn't sick at that point, at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, at the end of the day, like, it's going to get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I need to get my money because, like,
it's coming.
That. Yeah, I have to have that. So, like, all these different things are coming through my brain, and I'm like, what am I going to do? So I remember, like, I went in the kitchen and I got a beer. It was a Bud Ice. I'll never forget it. I just snapped, man, and I hit him with the bottle, like a full bottle of Bud Ice. And from there, like, I just blacked out. And I remember, like, coming back to, and like, he's there on the ground, and it's just me looking at him, and I'm like, what did I do? From there, it's just like, I can't leave him like this because he's going to tell on me, and I did what I did. And do I regret it? Yeah, right. I do.
I've talked to you a lot about it.
I do. I really do, because like, that ate me up for many years, because like, it's something you don't forget. You don't forget what you do. Like, there's incidents in your life that it's just like, you can forget about it. You can suppress it. You can do what you got to do. Think about that every day.
Right.
How I could have avoided, what I could have done. But I was at a point in my life where, things just wasn't going right.
You were afraid he was going to call the police on you.
Yeah. If I would have left him like that, I would have been gone for real.
But what you actually did was take a small situation and turn it into he took something small and took it to a whole new level. Had he called the cops, you would have been out of prison 20 some years ago.
Yeah, I would have been.
Yeah. But out of fear of him calling the cops, you said, I can't let this man be able to get to a phone. So
I can't. I couldn't.
Took it to the next level.
Yeah.
And what happens after that?
After it happened, like, I did search his house, and under the chair that he was sitting at was a 9mm. And, I thought about it. I was like, damn, I could have lost my life at that moment. Mm-hmm. He could have got to that. But I did ransack his house. I did, because I was looking for money, and there was money in the drawer. I took it. At that time, I didn't have a vehicle. I took his vehicle to get away from that. I just went on the run. I went to Key Largo, down there in the Key West, and I laid low for a few days. And I called my buddy that I was living with, and he was like, look, bro, they're looking for you. Of course, I have a record. They found fingerprints, and now I'm a person of interest. And so I start thinking, like, what am I going to do? So I called my mom, and in so many words, I didn't tell her what had happened, but I just told her I needed her. So she, sent me money, Western Union, through a friend of hers. I told her not to send it in her name.
Right.
For a few more days, I was living like that. I called a friend of hers, and she was like, look, you need to call your mom. And I'm like, no, I'm not calling her. She's like, look, you need to call your mom. So I called mom, and she was like, look, the police were here. They laid me on the ground. And they were like, look, you need to turn yourself in. And I was like, I can't. She's like, no, you have to. I was like, I'm not going in there by myself.
How old are you at this point?
23. I called a lawyer. I'm like, look, I don't have any money. I don't have anything to give you, but I need your help. I said, I'm not turning myself in without an attorney. I said, I have a serious charge that they're going to charge me with, and I don't want to be there by myself. He took me up on my offer. I met him in a Kroger shopping center in Miami. He picked me up. We drove around. He bought me lunch. He took me to the police department. They were like, who are you? And he was like, look, da 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 da. They was like, but we don't know anything about you.
That's what the police department said?
Yeah. So
you hadn't been charged. You were a person of interest.
Yeah. And,
they needed to talk to you.
They wanted to talk to me. And about 5 minutes later, as we were going to walk out, some detectives walk out the side door, and it was like, hey, you come with me. So we went in there, and I basically didn't tell him anything,
Denied everything?
No, I didn't deny it. I just didn't say anything.
You invoked your right to remain silent.
Pretty much.
I've told you in the past, the best thing you can do during a police interrogation is to say nothing. The Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent. Not your friends. Anything you tell them, they are 100% going to present to a judge, a jury, to try to get a conviction off you. So you want to, number one, have a lawyer. I'm not trying to tell you how to be a criminal. I'm telling you what to do to defend yourself. Number one, you want to have a lawyer. His job is to defend you. His job is to speak up for you. Number two, the least you say, the better. They get to questioning you, and you said you just pretty much clam up.
Y'all want to talk to me? Y'all talk to me, but basically I have nothing to say. And so they pretty much wrapped it up. I beat him out of a pizza. Yeah, I made him.
Can we get you something to eat?
Did I? They got me a pizza, thinking they're gonna get something out of me. I ate the pizza, and pretty much, they at the end of the conversation, they put me in a holding cell. They came and they gave me my arrest warrant, and they charged me with first-degree murder. I read the A statement, which was down in Miami. They know it's the A statement, it's the arrest affidavit. I read it, and it didn't match up to what I knew happened.
Because they're just putting pieces of the puzzle together. And they've got some right and some wrong.
Yes, they had a lot wrong. And it was first-degree murder, and I had no bond. I didn't even think about a bond. My people couldn't have got me out anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat in the holding tank for about 24 hours, and then they transported me to Dade County Jail. That in it of itself is just a terror dome. It's
Dade County Jail?
It is by far the worst jail I've ever been in. It's bad. Walk into the pod, man, and they got a house man, and like you got to fade the house man. You have to fight that dude. You have to shoot a fade on one-on-one, and win or lose, you got to fight that dude. The meaning of sleep late, lose weight. Look, they set the trays down. If you're asleep, you're not gonna eat.
Right? Bro. Yeah, that's 99%.
They do not pass trays out and hand them to you. Well, no. At least when I was there,
they push the cart in, and that's it.
It's over with. If you don't get up,
and if dude in front of you decides to take 2 trays, and you're the last man to get a tray, you're hit.
You're not gonna get it. And
right.
Plenty of times, guys take 2 and 3 trays at a time.
Right.
So you're
especially if it's a good meal.
Exactly.
Don't let it be chicken on the tray.
Oh, you're
third, fourth in the line. You're hit.
You're hit. So yeah, it's bad.
So you're sitting in Dade, and you've been charged. What's going on with the Virginia stuff? You've got this stuff going on in Virginia. What's going on with that now that you've been picked up?
They hit me with the PB-15, and
which is
a probation violation. That pretty much stayed idle through my whole time. They hit me with that. I hit the video court, and they was like, look, pretty much the outcome of this, you're going to have a charge pending against you, waiting for your extradition to see what happens upon the demise of your charge in Florida. I went through months of going back and forth in court and hearings, and I found out, very early that I was facing the death penalty. In Florida, they have the right to, in first degree murder, there's only two sentences, life or death. The prosecutor, Hillia Katz, I'll never forget that lady's name. She was just pushing for the death penalty on me.
And your lawyer came and told you this?
Yeah, because they assigned me a court-appointed lawyer.
So the lawyer you walked in with, after you turned yourself in, he walked off?
Yeah, he was gone. I didn't see him anymore.
But he did do the decency of walking you in?
Yeah, he did. He helped me out because, he kept, interrupting and, no, he's not saying anything. And I just sat there, and, no. And he would look at me and I would, no. I answered the basic questions of who I am, where I'm from, what I'm doing in Miami. And basically, that's all they got out of me. When I found out I was facing the death penalty, man, it was a whole another ball game. Like your whole reality just comes to a focus point, and it's like
you went from when am I going to get out to these people might kill me.
Exactly.
Like I might die.
Yeah.
I might lose my life behind what I've done.
Yeah.
A life has been lost, and now there's a good chance mine is going to be taken for what I did.
Yeah. The pod that I was in, literally, I was there was probably maybe one only other white guy in the pod. But every single body that was in there either had a punishable by life or a murder charge. Everybody was in there for that.
It's a crazy environment.
It was rough. It was bad.
Everybody's stressed out. Everybody's going to court.
Yeah.
Future's uncertain.
It was rough, man.
So then they're going to come at you. Next step with that, whenever you're facing something like that, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to start coming at you with pleas, and if they have a really strong case, a lot of times they won't come at you with pleas. The fact that you didn't speak to them essentially is probably what kept you off of death row. You know that, right? Had you given them a statement,
I'm sure
they would have 100% pursued the death penalty.
Yeah.
How did you get out of, what was it that took place that got you around the whole death penalty?
Believe it or not, man, my victim's family are really strong Christians in the Miami community. And his cousin is a pastor at a church. And when they found out that I was facing the death penalty, they went to the prosecutor themselves and was like, look, we know he did what he did. And they pleaded, and I found this out later. They pleaded with the prosecutor not to seek the death penalty. It was because of them that I didn't get a death penalty sentence.
They went to the prosecution and said, that's not what we want.
No, they don't want that. They don't believe in that. And they fought for that. And I thank them for this day. Come to find out, they fought that. They didn't want me to get a life sentence. They wanted me to have a chance. When I got out, they knew I made a mistake. They knew the lifestyle that he lived. It wasn't perfect, but they knew that a situation happened. And in that situation, it was because of the lifestyle that he lived, I lived, and it combined, it clashed, and it happened. It's because of them I'm here.
Had you spoken to them while all this was going on?
I didn't speak to them until I was sentenced.
So then they start. Of course, if you say they spoke with the prosecutors and they said, no, we don't want the death penalty and we do not want him to do life in prison. Yeah. So from there, they're going to start coming with pleas.
Yeah,
what were your pleas?
60 years.
Yeah.
Wow. They told me it takes 60 years.
That's not a plea. No. It's a life sentence.
Yeah.
And then they come back
with 40 years.
So that's a life sentence.
And then they came back again with 30. And then they asked me what I would take. I said 20. And they said no.
Meet you in the middle with 25.
They met me with 25. My lawyer said that the prosecutor said, if you don't take this, that she would give me a life sentence. I will never go home. I asked for 24 hours. I called my mom and I asked her how she felt about it. And she said...
And I've met your mom. Mom's very, bless her heart, very wonderful woman.
Yeah. She passed away in 2017.
Right.
She told me, she said, it's a long time. She says, but I'll be there for you.
Right.
She said
she was
for me. And she was. It was hard. It was really rough. But I called my lawyer the next day. I said, I'll sign. we went to court the following week. It was January 22nd. I went into court. My judge was Jill Freeman, and she read everything out. She said she has never heard of a case like this in her whole time on the bench, where a victim's family was a proponent of me, of the defendant,
advocating for you.
Yeah, I remember her saying that it'll give the victim's family an amount of peace that they have forgave me for what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
And the victim's family, when they spoke, they asked the judge if they could speak to me. And she says she's never allowed that. After I was sentenced, they came and they talked to me. I'm literally like this close to them. I'll never forget his cousin came up. There was like 5 of them there. He was the like spokesperson, and he talked to me. He was like, "Look, our family don't hate you. We love you." And
that's powerful.
He says, "We just ask 2 things of you." He says, 1, find your higher power.
Find God.
Yeah. And he says, make better choices and decisions when you go home. For years, it didn't resonate with me.
Well, of course not. You've got 25 years. You're in survival mode.
Yeah. I had a Buck Rogers date. My date was 2026. I'll never forget it.
And then what year was this when you got sentenced?
In 01.
2001.
Yeah.
And your release date is 2026.
Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, life is just over for me. I surrounded myself in Florida prison system.
So you left the jail. You got sentenced.
Yeah.
You've been given 25. You go back. Now you're going to head up to a reception center, right?
Yeah, I went to Dade County, South Florida Reception Center. And from there, I went to a place called DeSoto.
How was DeSoto?
It was gladiator school.
It was on.
It was on. They had 4 pavilions right in the middle, and like each pavilion was a different country. It was a different country. You had the Colombians, you had the Haitians, you had the...
You're starting off with a fresh 25 years, and here it is.
People called me Virginia there. Yeah. It wasn't Woody. They would call me Virginia. It was like, VA, what's up? I mean, I fit in. I was a chameleon. I didn't have a place like they do. I didn't live in a neighborhood that they lived in. I just fit in where I got in. I made friends and, counterparts, and, I did what I had to do.
How many different prisons were you in? Because every time I talk to somebody from Florida, it seems like they've been to just a dozen prisons.
They transfer you on a whim. It doesn't matter. Like in Florida, you could be at a prison you don't like. They call them non-psych camps. You could be there and then you just declare a psych emergency and go see the psych doctor, get put on some pills, don't take them, and they transfer you to another institution just like that. Boom. You don't want to go to the Panhandle.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got the white crackers, the black crackers, and like the police don't play.
Right.
They will stomp you in the mouth.
I let everybody know, because people hear the word cracker and they automatically think they think with a racist mindset. Oh, you're talking about white people. They're talking about white people. They don't know what a cracker is.
A cracker is the police.
That's
what they call the police is a cracker. Right.
Because you hear a lot of white dudes like cracker. That's just a term used for police down in Florida. If you're the guard or you're a cop or you're something of that shape or form, you're a cracker.
They call you a cracker because the cracker terminology is one that cracks the whip. And it's bad because the police are your arch enemy down there. It's bad.
When would you say, out of all of Florida, was the worst place you ended up at?
Columbia CI. That was by far the worst. In a month's time, like 5 people were stabbed to death. You can Google it now. There was guns on the compound when I was there.
And when were you there?
I was there from like 2005 to 2010.
Well, you told me about a jar with gold teeth in it.
Gold teeth, Lake Butler.
You told me this in 2010.
Yeah.
And I would hear this on YouTube when I got out. I heard somebody talk about it, I think in 2020. They talked about this jar where guards had been knocking dudes' teeth out.
Yes.
And I thought back, I was like, Woody told me they had a jar with gold teeth in
the
it.
Reception area when you got to Lake Butler, where the officers were at. They had jars that set up there, and they had gold teeth up in there in them jars.
On display for everybody to see.
Yes.
Like, we would knock you out and put it in a jar.
Yes, they would.
Treasure hunt.
They would. And like
coming up slugged up, we're going to get some of those.
Especially because there's so many beautiful women that work there. Like if you look at the woman wrong, you can't even really look in North Florida. You can't even look the women in their eye. You have to ask permission. You know, it's treacherous, man. You can't look at them. You get caught looking at a woman, you're gonna get beat.
Mm.
It plain might not get beat right then, but you're gonna get beat.
So you're not just worried about the inmates stabbing you and the inmates attacking you. You got to worry about these guards.
Exactly. The
Right.
officers are gonna take off on you
and just smash your head, knock your teeth out, and add them to the collection. And this is every guard, because Virginia's got some guards that are heinous, and then, but for the most part, 90% of them are protocol.
Yeah, pretty much.
Florida, you're saying they're just savage. Like you're not going to have no good guard.
It's bad.
How did you end up? Let's go through the whole process. How much time did you do in Florida before you would transfer to Virginia?
9 years, 3 months.
9 years, 3 months flat in Florida's system. And then
exactly.
How did you end up in Virginia? You concocted a plan because they didn't just send you here.
No.
You came up with a plan.
I did because it was